Here I'm in the living room, doing some footage of a reflection to showcase what I often see in the mirror. This is an art print with glass in front of it. The mirror trick started when I was at the Grove in 2017. Um, Now here it is 2018, and I would always see this twack in my reflection. They would morph my face and when I was in front of mirrors. Um, in 2019, one thing that they did that I'm going to emulate here, even though it wasn't during this time period, is that when I was looking in the mirror, they didn't do the typical morph thing that they did with the twack. It literally appeared as if another pair of human eyes, like from a photograph, were put in place for my eyes. It kind of appeared to be like one of those tools that is used to come up with an image of a perpetrator or a suspect based on the description from the victim or eyewitnesses. I'm sure you've seen various tools where they mix and match eyes, mouths, and nose and things like that. That's what it appeared to be, but just on the eye area. And I was literally looking at my eyes in the mirror, and then uh, it looked like another pair of eyes slid down on top of them. And I don't know if it was in projected into my eyes, if it was projected onto the mirror. I have no idea, but it was really cool. And this doesn't do it justice, but this is kind of what it looked like. So here I'm going to freeze frame it, and I'm going to show you, different interpretations that could be made out of the twack. Again, I'm not saying that this is necessarily the intended content, but I think it's meant to be interpreted multiple different ways and to trick the brain into pattern recognition. But I thought this one was pretty clear how it could be interpreted that way. And you'll see, like when I remove it, that this is actually where my eyes are up here, and that's where my face is. So it's like completely off of where my eyes should be and where my jaw should be. So here I think one of my eyes definitely looks more cartoony than the other. And if you also look at my mouth, it looks like it's crooked, but I'm not twisting my mouth in any sort of way. I'm not doing a smirk or anything like that. Here I think it's very clear that there's some sort of anomaly happening between my eyes and the reflection, or between the camera lens and the reflection. My eyes appear to, get bigger. They appear to look illustrated. There's absolutely no filter on this. It's not enhanced in any sort of way. This is the original footage. Here it looks like one of my eyes is lower than the other. My actual eyes are level with each other. They're not, my head's not turned in any sort of way or tilted. Here my eyes just look wildly cartoonish and illustrated. And here it almost looks like I'm wearing like a superhero costume, kind of like the Captain America costume, sort of. Uh, that's one way you could interpret it. That's one thing that they do with this twack is they obscure the light, and so they create shadows with it, and they can create almost like tattoos on you and make you look entirely different. And here's another way of interpreting it. Here's an example where it could be interpreted as an eye here, or you could interpret it as an eye here. This is a good example here of when the camera pans up, you'll notice that some of the imagery moves with the camera as if there's a filter like in the camera for that. I'm not really sure how that works. I don't know if they're projecting into the camera lens or into my eye when that happens, but it's an interesting anomaly with this footage. Here's an example where you can interpret a mouth here, but if you change your point of view, you could interpret it as an eye. So if you focus on the eyes above, then it's more likely that you'll see the mouth. But then if you look at the mouth, it's more likely you'll see the eye. So here's an eye here, or a creature there. There could be a creature interpreted there. Here's another pair of eyes here that you could interpret a creature on, where the last eye becomes a mouth. Here's another one where you could interpret it that way. So in a second, my eyes are about to light up a little bit. And I've seen this do this on other people that I was talking to. They did this to Micah Swindle when he would hang out at the Grove with me sometimes. Sometimes his eyes would light up. I'm assuming he wasn't aware of it. Here I'm going to be putting my fingers and my hand between my eyes and the reflection. So you'll see that the projected imagery, the projected eyes, the projected twack still shows up over it. So here my hand is in front of both eyes, and you can literally see another pair of eyes projected onto my hand, or between the reflection and my hand. I'm going to do it again here. You can see the eyes still project in front of my hands. And what's also interesting that I'm doing the freeze frame here to show is that where my mouth is, you can see where it looks like it could be teeth. It more easily looks like teeth in the peripheral vision if you focus on the eyes here. But then if you focus more on the mouth, you can still make out, how it could be interpreted as a mouth, but you could also then reinterpret it as an eye if you look at it, in a different way. The nature of this ambiguity makes it very difficult, if not impossible, to share this footage with people and to get them to understand that you definitely did see anomalies and that it's not just camera noise, especially if they're being gang stalked unbeknownst to them and being made into a brick wall and to refuse to listen or comprehend what you're saying to them. Here's another thing where a mouth could be interpreted as an eye. It's more likely to be interpreted as a mouth when you're looking at the eyes above it, when you see it in your peripheral vision. And when you look directly at it, it's more likely to be interpreted as an eye. Here again, I'm just showing how the eyes still project in front of or on top of the reflection or my hand, and how you can interpret multiple eyes there, how they stack eyes on eyes on eyes. So here it looks like one of my eyes is higher than the other, and I've actually got my eye covered up by my hand, and this is actually where my eye should be there. I think this is a pretty obvious representation of an eye that's on the back of my hand there, and you can even see the iris there. Actually, looks like it has some color to it. I will let you make your own interpretations out of this one, just because I didn't feel like doing it. Here I'll show an interpretation that I took from this one. Looked like I had cartoonish eyes here. Looked like I had been turned into some sort of creature or a cartoon person. So now I'm going to spin around and show the dining area. I was just in the living room. And right here, there always seemed to be an eye on the wall. And right here, it looks like two eyes. You can look at it differently and interpret as one eye. But it kept morphing into one eye and then two eyes. And it looked like the eye was moving back and forth. And as always, keep in mind, I saw this with my eyes unaided. I saw this with my naked eye. And as I say naked eye, they're playing Naked Eye. And they're trying to get me to say Naked Eye by Wilson Phillips. But they like to do things like that. It's not Wilson Phillips. And they're blocking it from my mind right now. But it looks like the eye's wiggling. It looks like it's moving back and forth. This is pretty much how I saw it with my eye. It would go in and out of focus just like that. Here's where I think it looks like it morphs from an eye into more of like a skull or a creature. In a moment here, it's going to get a little bit more complex. And the other thing important to note is there's nothing going on in the room. I don't even think the ceiling fan's on. It's just me and the camera. There's no one walking around. There's no one covering up any lights. There shouldn't be this type of movement. And again, I saw this with my eyes without the aid of a camera. This is not camera noise. As you see here, it looks more like a skull. And it's going to get dark here in just a moment. What's interesting to note is sometimes when I would be filming these things, especially when I thought I was getting good footage of like an anomaly, like those vortex things that I would see, something like that would happen. And usually it would happen for longer than just a moment there. I'm not sure if that's the same type of anomaly that I experienced in other videos, but especially when I was at the Grove, it happened quite a lot there when I would be filming up at the ceiling or the where the ceiling meets the wall. The camera would get very dark and go out of focus, and it would stay that way unless I pointed the camera away from that area for a couple of seconds and then pointed it back, and then it would usually be able to have like a second or two of footage, if not longer, but then it would go dark again. And I think that's part of its camouflage. It's just part of that twack. It's just it causes the camera to go out of focus, causes the eyes to go out of focus, and it's just another way to sort of blind a viewer.